That's what Benjamin Netanyahu thinks of the ceasefire that he never really paid any attention to, as the Israeli forces officially restart their attacks on innocent people in Gaza. They even went through the unnecessary step of telling Donald Trump what they're going to do with our money and support.
The Trump administration and the White House were consulted by the Israelis on their attacks in Gaza tonight. And as President Trump has made it clear, Hamas, the Houthis, Iran, all those who seek to terrorize not just Israel, but also the United States of America, will see a price to pay. All hell will break loose. And all of the terrorists in the Middle East, again, the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, Iranian-backed terror proxies, and Iran themselves should take President Trump very seriously when he says he is not afraid to stand for law-abiding people. He is not afraid to stand up for the United States of America and our friend and our ally Israel.
This is what standing up for law-abiding people and the United States of America sounds like to the president. Palestinians at a school sheltering displaced families in Gaza City say they were shaken violently from their sleep early Tuesday when Israeli jets struck. Hospital officials said more than 24 people were killed. People are sleeping peacefully. They set the alarm to wake up for suhoor and wake up to death, a displaced woman said, referring to the early morning meal during the fasting month of Ramadan. The Israeli military had no immediate comment on the school strike, which was part of a renewed offensive in Gaza. I heard screaming, my mother and sister screaming, calling for help. I came and entered the room and found the children under the rubble, under the stones, said another displaced Palestinian.
And we know that these successful defensive strikes that took place over the weekend against the Houthis in the Red Sea were indeed successful. We took out some of their leaders, and the Defense Department is set to continue with this campaign if the Houthis continue with their retaliatory measures. The president is going to stand for the navigation, freedom of navigation of our seas, which is a very basic principle that unfortunately the previous administration refused to stand for, and that's why we are in this mess in the Middle East in the first place. President Trump inherited a lot of problems, Sean, because of the incompetence and the weakness of the Biden-Harris administration, but he is focused on fixing them, and our allies and our adversaries better take him seriously.
Now, don't let it slip that Caroline Leavitt warned not only our adversaries, but our allies to take Trump's bloodthirst seriously. Yeah, the same guy that claimed all conflicts across the world would immediately stop once he's in office is starting more conflicts while pouring gasoline on the ones already happening. Now, I have to admit, though, it's hard to talk about the atrocities that our leadership is and has been supporting in killing tens of thousands of innocent Palestinians, including children. Biden did it with a fake old man cluelessness, only to hand the baton over to Trump, who approaches it like he's playing a video game or something. It's hard because no matter who's in the White House, the violations and genocidal actions get a pass. But here's more of the reality that we refuse to acknowledge. A doctor working at a Gaza hospital said she had witnessed a level of horror that was hard to articulate after Israel's surprise bombardment of the territory. Dr. Tanya Haj Hassan, a volunteer with medical aid for Palestinians based at Nasser Hospital, said the pediatric intensive care unit was full. She said she had personally treated at least 5 patients who died in the emergency room. The ER was just chaos, patients everywhere, on the floor, she said. There were probably 3 men, and the rest were all children, women, elderly. Everybody caught in their sleep, still wrapped in blankets. Terrifying. Trump promised that all hell would break loose if hostages weren't released. He just conveniently made sure not to mention the part about his version of hell being unleashed on women, children, and elderly people sleeping in a hospital.
Do I have to define it for you? Look, all hell will break out. If those hostages aren't back, I don't want to hurt your negotiation. If they're not back by the time I get into office, all hell will break out in the Middle East. And it will not be good for Hamas, and it will not be good, frankly, for anyone. All hell will break out. I don't have to say anymore, but that's what it is. And they should have given them back a long time. They should have never taken them. And I just say it this very simply. Steve's got a job to do. He's a great guy, great negotiator, great person. They respect him over there already. It's what we needed over there. We have people that know everything about the Middle East, but they can't speak properly. They don't know. He's a great negotiator. That's what I needed. I could have sent that gentleman right over there, Hussein. He's a great negotiator. There are people, they're rare. Great negotiators are very rare, like a great surgeon. But we have the right person. But I tell this, I don't want to hurt the negotiation. If the deal isn't done before I take office, which is now going to be 2 weeks, all hell will break out in the Middle East.
The head of the records department in Gaza's health ministry said at least 263 of the 404 people confirmed dead so far Tuesday were women or children 18 and under. He described it as the deadliest day in Gaza since the start of the war in October of 23. I don't think discussing the actual facts and circumstances behind this latest bout of murder will sway any people that can't connect the humanity to the people being attacked by one of the world's largest and strongest militaries. It should simply be on record that our leadership paints one picture that doesn't even support the lives of Israeli hostages they claim to be doing all of this for, because they're ignoring some that have been released. The families of hostages held by Hamas are calling on supporters to protest with them outside Israel's parliament, saying the resumption of fighting in Gaza puts their loved ones at risk. With each passing day, the danger to the hostages grows. Military pressure could further endanger their lives, is what the Hostages and Missing Families Forum said in a statement announcing the protest. In stories on Instagram shared by Israeli media, several Israelis released from Hamas captivity in the first phase of the recent ceasefire made desperate appeals to the government to prioritize the release of the hostages and resume negotiations. Return to fighting? Did you listen to a word of what we, the returnees released in the last deal, have been saying to you? Do you see us? Former hostage Omer Winkert wrote. He added that the sense of being forsaken is the strongest I've ever felt. Romy Gonen, who was among the first hostages freed in the last ceasefire, said she will never forget the moment in captivity when I heard the booms after the first deal collapsed and realized I would not be freed anytime soon. She wrote, I beg you, the people of Israel, we must continue to fight for them. And the government of Israel, get them out. This is the most urgent thing. But sadly, our age-old line about terrorists only understanding violence obviously applies to whoever occupies our White House. And in this case, the only difference is that it's done louder and prouder.
There should have never been the attack of October 7th. People forget that. But there was, and many people are killed. They're no longer hostages. I have people from Israel and others calling, begging me to get, we had also people there from the United States, just so you know. They're holding some so-called hostages from the U.S. But I've had mothers come to me and fathers crying, can I get the body of their son back? Can I get the body of their daughter back? That beautiful girl where they threw her in the car, pulled her by her ponytail and threw her in the car like she was a sack of potatoes. I said, what happened to her? Sir, she's dead. Like a 19, 20-year-old beautiful girl.